Welcome back to the 127 Fit podcast. Today's guest is a writer. Today's guest is Joey Iannino. Joey, I want to welcome you to the 127 Fit podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited, ready to roll.
For sure. So Joey, we're just going to jump right into things. I've got 4 questions that I like to ask all of my guests just to kind of get the conversational ball rolling, so to speak. The first question that I have for you is, how do you start your day? Do you have a specific morning routine or morning ritual that you like to stick to on most mornings?
Yes. Most mornings, I'm awake by 4:15, and I'm usually out the door by 5 to head to the gym.
Okay, cool.
So
now, what's kind of the reasoning for you to wake up so early? Because 4:15 is pretty early, right?
And so my line of work, my old line of work, and I'm a morning person, but my old line of work was always early mornings. But I said, now I don't have anyone telling me to wake up. Mm-hmm. I need to tell myself to wake up, right? So I get up and I get to work, and I like to get in the gym early, and to me that's the foundation of my day.
Right.
I'm building the foundation by getting in the gym, moving my body, and basically from there it's awesome.
For sure.
That's how you do it.
For sure. Now, I actually had a guest on yesterday, and I'd say probably 90%, if not 95% of the guests that I bring onto the podcast, there is some sort of movement or going to the gym in their morning routine. So for you specifically, Joey, why is heading to the gym and getting that movement in right away, why is that such an important part of your day, and why is that a part of your morning routine?
Fitness has been a part of my life since I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And so it's almost like it's an addiction. It's like I can't allow myself not to work out or not to exercise. And this also, if I don't go to the gym, and there's a day I don't go to the gym, I'm still getting up, but I'm reading. I'm reading because I'm exercising my mind,
Yeah.
And I got to do something that's going to benefit my body. And I believe that's the foundation, whether I'm reading or I'm exercising, or even doing a puzzle. I'm talking, you're getting the brain moving.
For sure.
And so that's the foundation of the day.
Cool.
I think that's how you build on top of that for the rest of your day.
For sure, yeah. And I like to just say, how you start your day is how you're going to end your day. So you're just really
100%.
building that momentum,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
For sure. Cool. All right. So let's this next question, before we turn on the mic,
Yeah.
I told you we're gonna go pretty deep on this one. The next question is favorite book or book that you like to gift often, and just kind of going through your Instagram, studying up a little bit for our conversation today, I noticed there's quite a few posts on a regular basis in regards to a favorite book that you've read, or even there was a picture I think in Mexico where you're in like this used bookstore, and you just kind of talk about the importance of reading. So first of all, is there one maybe favorite book that kind of stands out in your mind, or a book that you gift often? And then if you don't mind, Joey, just expounding a little bit more in terms of why reading is so important in your personal life.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite book. I could almost say 3, but it's from the same author, and that's Robin Sharma. And
Okay.
He has made an impact on my life, and he's the reason I started writing. But his book, 5 a.m. Club, I would say, is my favorite book. His previous books are incredible too, and I love them all. So he has made a big impact.
Now, is there a specific book that you and maybe it's one of those from Robin, but is there one that you've maybe gifted often, or one that you really recommend quite a bit?
I always recommend the 5 a.m. Club. I think it's
cool.
an overall great book for anybody who's trying to basically fulfill. They're lacking. They feel like they're lacking, but they're working so hard, but they're not getting anywhere. And it's a story. It's a fiction, but it's got amazing lessons in there. And Robin spent like 4 years creating this book. And
cool.
It's really incredible.
Sweet. Now, why is reading such an impactful, important part of your personal life?
So I didn't pick up a book until 3 years ago. And I didn't pick up a book because reading has been my biggest weakness in life. And reading comprehension, and I struggled with reading my entire school life. I had special reading classes. I failed to read. I wouldn't study. I didn't do anything that involved reading, and I resented reading forever. Someone asked me to read something, like a little article, I would just pretend I read it, and I'd be like, yeah. I wouldn't read. 3 years ago, I was gifted a book from a friend of mine, and it was a real estate book. And I said, okay, so it took me about, I think, 8 months total to pick it up and read the whole thing.
Right.
And now I bought another book after that, and now I'm reading a book a week at least. I'm just firing through books. I've learned that it is so powerful to read because you're getting decades of knowledge from these incredible humans that can just share so much with you at a small cost.
For sure.
I mean, it's almost stupid not to do that.
Right.
You're neglecting learning.
Right. And do you find too, as you have invested in reading and you're putting in that work and that effort and that time, that your reading comprehension, some of those maybe things that you struggle with when you're younger, is that improving?
Yes. My reading levels and my vocab, everything has it's pretty incredible because what I didn't know, and like I'm like seeing words often, and I'm like, oh, I know this word now, I know what this means, but my speed has picked up, you know. Right. And I'm not saying I'm a great reader. I mean, I read, but I read, and I make sure to read every day, at least an hour a day, and I think that's the exercising the mind part. So yes, I have definitely increased my reading and comprehension skills.
Cool.
And just overall speaking, I mean, it's helped with everything.
Absolutely, and that's the thing where it's like, this is kind of like, just in our short couple minutes of conversation, you've already mentioned kind of like, in the morning, you at least get that, you're attempting to get that physical movement in, but if not, you're getting that, mental movement in through reading, and then, you're talking about exercising the mind, and, that's something I think that, as a society, we're being awakened to, but there's still, I think, a lot of people, and as we grow up, we're encouraged, if not forced, to read books, and reading is good. Right. So we hear that rhetoric, but I think sometimes as we graduate from high school, graduate from college, we kind of set the reading and the studying aside because it's like we get so lost in our career, right? But I know that reading and lifelong learning is such an important and valuable part of the human experience and human growth. Would you agree with that?
100%. In order to grow, you have to learn. And I say in order to live, you have to grow. And so all three of those have a huge impact on how we want to live our lives. And I like to say there's the maintenance mode, the maintenance mindset. People would say fixed mindset. I say maintenance mindset. And it's like you're fine where you are. You don't want to learn anymore. You're like, okay, I'm fine. I'm doing this. I'm getting by with life. But that's not really what life's about. It's always achieve. It's not about like, oh, I got to achieve this. But it's just always learning something new, always fulfilled with something new because things get old, right? So you want to find something else.
For sure.
I think that's a big part.
Cool. All right. Something else that I came across as I was, hanging out on your Instagram, preparing for our conversation was, there's a lot of different quotes. So, the next question: favorite quote, mantra, or word. And I just kind of like to share with my guests. They can take this however they would like. This could be a favorite quote, mantra, or word during this current season of life, or it could be a favorite quote, mantra, or word from a previous season of life. However you kind of want to take that. And if you have a favorite quote, if there's a favorite mantra and a favorite word, feel free to share. If there's just one, if there's two, however you want to take that, favorite quote, mantra, or word.
I think if it comes to quote, and I put this in my book because it kind of relates to overall life, and it's a problem will persist until it has taught you what you need to know. And we constantly have things happen to us, but we don't know why, and we don't ask. So it asks the question, and my question I ask myself often, this is what changed my life, was, what is this teaching me? What is life teaching me? So what is this teaching me is a huge part of my life right now. And so a problem will persist, meaning something small, but it's really their tests, and I could get into like the universe and all this, but it is a problem will persist until it has taught you what you need to know. So things keep reoccurring because life wants you to learn, and it'll keep teaching you. The lesson's always taught, but we fail to recognize it.
That's powerful. Yeah.
And that's how I'm living my life, and
Right.
I feel great because of it. And I try to share that message with people to show them that what is it teaching you? Not like, oh, this is bad, this happened to me. Why did it happen? You know, and that's the way I look at it.
Is there like one word that is maybe a reoccurring word in your life, or a word that's just been really, really powerful, impactful in your life, Joey?
I think the most powerful word is love. I think everything stems from love. Love for yourself, love for others. I think everyone deserves love, and that's where, you know, we talk about the bad in the world and all this, and love, everyone deserves it, no matter what they did. But the reason people do bad is neglecting love, or or they don't have enough love in their life. And I think love starts everything, and love begins with you, and it begins inside of you.
Right.
And we can love others, but it's hard to. I say, how could someone love you if you don't love yourself? And that's a huge part. And love is again, with the foundation, love is the foundation of fulfilling life, and it starts there. I think love is, but my four favorite words: love, gratitude, kindness, and perspective. And that is how the past year and a half I've really looked at life. Those four words are serious.
I love it. Now, I'm going to ask you, for you personally, what love means, or what love is, right? Because love is a very generic word in our culture. We say we love our dog, we love ice cream, we love the Denver Broncos, we love this, we love that, right? So, and there's a lot of people, if you get on Instagram, if you get on social media, there's all this, you know, and I've had, you know, a handful of people come on my podcast and talk about self-love and, you know, love, 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 love. And again, in our culture, I feel like it's a watered down word. It's a very generic word. So for you personally, why is that word love so important, so impactful, and like, what does it mean to you personally, Joey?
Okay, love is such like you said, it's watered down because people are in relationship, and we're going to use like an intimate relationship and say love.
Yeah.
People can say I love you, and it can mean nothing. The word itself is just useless. I mean, at that point. And I think real love is felt. I say it's when the minds meet. It's when the souls touch and the hearts speak. I think it has nothing to do with. Well, I shouldn't say nothing, but we talk about like intimacy. You know, with love in a relationship, it's physical love's there. Okay. But that means nothing if the minds, the heart, and the souls are not in line. And energy has a lot to do with that.
Yes.
But love with what you do in life, love, you bring your whole self to whatever it is. And that's how you feel love. And self-love, I think, is really just I can sit in this room alone with myself and enjoy my presence. And that is self-love. And people are like, I'm bored. I don't want to be alone. I'm like, you don't love yourself enough, and you need to work on that, because you should be able to. No, now I'm not saying we need to live alone and like, because we are, you know, we like to interact, but I think self-love and unconditional love with parents or loved ones. You know, I was raised on love, and I was given so much love, and that has been such a big part of my life, because I think that is how I basically got friends. You know, I made friends through kindness and love, and that's how I was raised. It was always love this, love, you know. So that's kind of, if that answered the question.
It absolutely does, and I love that. No pun intended there, but I really appreciate that perspective of just having like this full connection, being like fully in or fully present, and being able to, first of all, love yourself, but then being able to be all in or fully in with another individual.
I mean, it's more than a word. I mean, it's more than. And I've watched people say "I love you" or like, "Okay, bye, I love you," and you may love that person, but I've seen people say it where it's like you can't. You feel it. You know, it's a feeling. It is such a feeling of love, and I think saying it is so easy, and it's like feeling it is not easy. That's where the work comes in.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great perspective, Joey. Now, the last question in regards to the conversational warm-up, favorite or most listened to podcast?
Okay. Well, this is my favorite podcast, 127 Fan.
There we go, man. Let's go.
I started listening to podcasts. I'd say Lewis Howes was my first podcast, School of Greatness, and Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu.
For sure, for sure.
He's had some really, really great people on.
Yeah. Now, you said that the School of Greatness, the Lewis Howes podcast, was the first podcast you kind of came across and started listening to. What was kind of attractive or appealing to you specifically about the School of Greatness podcast?
Okay, so I picked up Lewis's book. He was one of like the first books I've picked up. And that's how I found his podcast. I think through that I found his podcast. And I didn't watch or listen. And I like to actually watch podcasts more because that's how I'm like a visual learner.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's hard for me to listen, even though I do listen like if I'm in the car. But I picked up his podcast from his book. That's
Okay,
what I
cool,
did, yeah.
cool.
And then I saw the people he had on, and I was like, oh, I know.
Yeah, he's the real deal in regards to podcasting
Right. And I love his story about how he started and everything.
Yeah.
It's just hard work. That's what it is.
Grinding hard, that's for sure. All right, so Joey, we're going to kind of just take a step into kind of your story. I would love for you to share with myself and the listeners where you grew up, siblings, kind of like what were the younger years like. You already mentioned you grew up in a family of love, which that's very beautiful and impactful and important. But just talk about how many siblings you have, where you grew up, what did those younger years look like? Were you involved in sports, extracurricular activities? Let's just kind of like paint that picture up to up and through high school, and then once we get to that point, we'll kind of move on from there.
Sure. I was raised in Lombard, Illinois, which is about 20 miles west of Chicago, or suburb of Chicago. So, Chicago. So basically, I knew the city life. That's kind of how we were. But I have 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4.
Okay.
And 2 actually live here in Denver, and 1 in LA. So growing up, it was like, it's kind of funny because I would watch them. I was so much younger. My oldest brother's 8 years older than me. So I would watch what they did. And I don't think I knew it at the time, but I would just naturally pick up on what they did. And I would say, oh, they got, punished for that. I'm not going to do that. Or whatever happened. Or they did this. I'm going to try this. And obviously I got punished too because I was like, oh, I want to be like my brothers.
Yeah.
I want to do this. So growing up with them has been just awesome. We've been through our ups and downs. And I am so great. I wish I could measure how grateful I am to have the connection I do with my brothers and the relationships I do, because like I said, we've had our ups and downs, but right now at this point, we have never been stronger together. And I think that's so important because I watch families and, brothers and siblings and they just don't get along. And it actually breaks my heart because you lived with these people for so long.
Right.
And it's just, and I get it. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And that's why we have friends who are family or people we bring into our lives that we say are family.
Yeah.
But it's just, we were raised with love, and I think that's a huge part to be. And I think being a parent, and that's why I love my parents so much. And I think being a parent is one of the toughest jobs, and it's also the greatest job you can have. It's the greatest title, I think, because you are in charge of another human being. You're creating another human being who will impact this world. How will they impact this world? In the right way. And I think that's why I love parenting. I always say that, I'm not a parent or anything, but I say that they don't get enough credit, because they are the reason we are doing this today.
Absolutely.
We have been given life to do something, and to waste it, I think, is the biggest insult.
Right. Now, in terms of your mom and dad, kind of you being the youngest, there's always there's always a certain connotations kind of attached to the youngest child or the oldest child.
Yeah.
But for you being the youngest, what was that like? With you kind of mentioned you looked at your brothers and you're like, I want to be like this brother, that brother, so I'm going to do that or I'm not going to do that. But just being the youngest, was there anything that you felt that you missed out on or that you gained over your older siblings? Just talk a little bit about that, and then your specific relationship with your mom and your dad.
So I think that, my relationship, I'll start with my relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
I moved back home with my parents the summer of 2018. And as from then to now has been just an incredible experience. Our relationship has never been stronger because I spent so much time with them, and it's just because like I went from I was living out of the house for almost 5 years, so like early 20s to now late 20s. It's like you mature so much, so now you want to be with people who love you and support you, and you love them, and so it's totally different than if I was living at home at 21 and now I'm living at home at 28. It's like, whoa, this is roommates compared to, oh, I live at home with my parents. It's humble yourself and appreciate what you have. So our relationship is really something else.
Now, what about your relationship like when you were younger? Like, what was that relationship with your parents when you were younger?
Okay, so I'm not like what do they say, baby, mama's boy. Okay, so I'm not a mama's boy, but I am mama's boy, if that makes sense. I like to say that because I didn't like ask for my mom for a bunch of things. I don't know if maybe when I was younger I was always a pain. I was seriously a pain when I was little. And that's probably being the youngest and always complaining and crying, or just me. But my mom, I'm not going to say that she loves me the most, because she does. I know she loves everyone, but I think when you're a baby, you just feel, I think they feel like a sense like they got to protect you or whatever. And I go, no, like don't worry about me. But we always had I think we always had a different relationship than with my other brothers, but that's, everyone, I think we all have our own relationships with our parents in a different way.
Right.
But I don't know if I got special treatment. I'm trying to think, like, maybe I didn't get as much trouble as them, that's why. And that's not, if that is true, I didn't get as much trouble with, school or whatever. And that's when I say I learned from, past mistakes.
For sure.
To say, oh, I'm going to go this route. I didn't like what that happened, so.
What was your relationship like with your dad?
It's always been loving. My dad is not like someone who's, okay, so my dad is an Italian guy from the neighborhood of Chicago, and, like Little Italy. So sports were never a big thing. My dad loves culture and music, like, opera and food, and cooking is huge in our family. So I grew up wanting to play sports and all, in football. So I didn't learn sports through my dad like most, American kids. It's funny. So, but what I learned was the Italian culture, or I should say like the Italian American culture, and food. I've learned stuff that people, they have to pay for, they have to go out and see it. I taught myself sports. I just said, okay, just sign me up for football. I'll go get my ass kicked, and then I'll deal with it.
For sure.
So my dad taught me things that most people, I think, don't see from a parent in our society, in my generation, So it was more, and it just, I don't know how else to explain it besides love. Like, always felt loved, and they do anything. I wish they wouldn't do so much for us, and a lot of times I tell them now, I say, don't do that. Like, maybe back then it was okay, don't do that now.
Right,
because it's time to learn. So it's been really great.
Cool. Now, in terms of, like you said, you wanted to play sports and things like that. Did you then get into sports kind of like when you were younger, and what did that look like moving forward into like maybe middle school and high school? Did you keep playing sports, or was there another outlet for you during those younger years?
I started football, Pee Wee football, at 6th grade, Park District football.
Okay.
And I went up until senior year of high school. I played, and that was it. I was planning on going to college for football, and I didn't. We'll get on college, but But it was just football I was really interested in, and I loved football. Only thing is, I'm 5'8", and I was also like an offensive lineman, and I'm like, this is not where. Realization hit in like senior year. I was like, okay, Joe, you're not going pro. You're not going. Let's take it easy. But it was so much fun, and I met I think sports are so important. I met so many friends in physical. I mean, I learned more about fitness because of working out with teammates, and I just think that's just a bonding experience, and it's a positive experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I played football, so 7 years, whatever it is. And in high school, I did track freshman and sophomore year. But the only reason I did track and I was a thrower, because my sophomore year football coach, my lineman coach, was the was the thrower coach. So I
Oh,
said,
okay.
I
There you
gotta,
go.
you know, I
Yeah.
gotta do what I can to.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
and it was fun, but
Uh-huh.
I was horrible. It was, but it was a good time to go to track meets and hang out and meet new people.
For sure.
But that was it. And I stopped after sophomore year. And I was like, okay. So football was really my main sport. Funny because I like golf now.
Yeah, that's
And I kind of wish I played golf. My shoulders would feel a lot better than they do.
I bet, yeah. Was there anything else outside of the sports? Was there any other, because you mentioned in the beginning that you struggled with the reading,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming you probably weren't into writing at that time. Was there anything else outside of sports? Were you into music? Was there any other type of activities that you really spent a lot of time outside of the athletic pursuits?
See, that's the sad thing is there wasn't.
Okay.
It was like hang out with friends, work out like hell,
Yeah.
and sports, and that was, I mean, fitness was I just loved lifting weights.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wish I could say like I had other passions, but that was it at the time, and that's, yeah. So I think back on it, that's it.
Well, that's my
Yeah.
my younger years. To be honest with you, Joey, is that I grew up and I was exposed to sports at a very young age, and I threw myself into them. And I honestly, I didn't care about anything else. I was like, I play sports, I work out, I eat a specific way so that I can be stronger and gain muscle, and that's all towards athletic performance, and find some cute girl, date her, and outside of that, hang out with the friends, and that's that was my upbringing too, right? And I look back on that, and I don't have any regrets, because I don't believe living in regret is productive for any of us. But I do look back, and I'm just like, man, I kind of wish I would have started working in high school like my brother, just a little bit, just to kind of learn like, hey, like, you can work hard in sports, but working hard in a career or job setting, that can be different, right? So I'm right with you, man, and that's just the reality of the lives that we had, and there's nothing wrong with it.
The young mindset. That's kind of what it is. I mean, if you're not into, again, I said learning was it wasn't a priority of mine.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it.
I'm
I
right
passed
with
with C's, and that was, I was like, okay, I did the bare minimum,
Yeah.
or I shouldn't say I didn't try, but it was like I could only try so hard if I didn't study. So it was like tests were never a pass.
For sure.
I never passed
Yeah.
tests.
Yeah.
I just did the homework.
Yep. No, I hear you, man. Especially when I got into high school, man, it's like, woo! I just, whatever I had to do to stay eligible to play sports, that's where I was at. And I mean, I graduated with like a 3.2, and I got plenty of A's and B's, but there's some C's and D's and maybe one F in there, But okay, so let's talk about post high school.
Okay.
And I really want to get into, and we'll eventually get there, but I really want to get into, because just for you listeners out there, Joey and I met up here in Denver this last fall at an event that a couple of my previous podcast guests were putting on, and so we had probably an hour and a half conversation at that time, and at that time you were just kind of sharing about the transition you were going through because of a relationship breakup. So we're going to get there, and I really want to spend some time on that, because when we talked in the fall, you had mentioned like, hey, like I've become this new individual because of this turning point in my life. You know what I mean? So let's talk about college. What was college like, and then we'll kind of get into this relationship that you were in, and then we'll keep unpacking things from there.
All right. College was short, so I could keep it short.
Okay.
I went to I applied at, I like to say I wanted to go to the university of my dreams, because I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't want to go to school because other people, or I didn't want to go to school because I wanted an education. I wanted to go to school because all my friends were going, and I felt left out. So
of course,
I didn't get into. I think I got it. I don't know if I got accepted, but people were sending me letters for football. In schools, and I was like, I said I don't want to play football anymore.
Yeah.
Also, it probably had a lot to do with our losing team in high school, but I didn't feel like playing, and I said I'll go to high school, or I'll go to college somewhere. But I wanted to study kinesiology, because the only class that I was ever interested in. So I did study one time, anatomy, AP anatomy. Because I was so into fitness, so I loved the body. And I said I want to go to kinesiology at UIC in Chicago. Great school, great medical school. And it's like so I started going to the community college in town, and I was taking classes in biology, which I'm not into. and math. For some reason, there's tons of math involved in everything we do. So
For
I
sure.
couldn't pass math. I couldn't pass these classes. Again, I wasn't giving 100%. I was busy with going to see friends on the weekends. Like, they were at school, like whether they were in the city, I could drive down for the weekend.
Yeah.
But my mind was always somewhere else. I didn't care enough to want to succeed in that.
Right.
And that was a problem. So I think 2 years, I maybe spent 3 years at community college, like in and out, while working. And I kind of just came to terms. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And it was just like, kind of like, I wasn't getting anywhere. I'm wasting time.
Right.
And then I realized, okay, maybe school's not for everyone, So I didn't go. And at that time I was working, when I was 18, I was working in a nutrition store. So that was like my big dream job too, because I said, I get cheap supplements.
There you go,
and
man.
I get, it's like, it was all working out. But all I cared about was like, going out and just making enough money to, hang out with friends.
For sure.
So school ended, what was I, like 20? I was probably 20 years old. And that was basically it.
What was your mindset then? Like, I mean, for me, it was like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get my degree so I can be a personal trainer and own my own gym. Like, that's where my mindset was when I was like, towards the end of high school, going into college. And let's keep it real. Like, I'm a few years older than you, but people our generation, it was like you go to like, my parents didn't go to college. You graduate from high school and everybody's going to college. So it's like, well, and I look back on that, Joey, and it's like, I didn't have anybody saying, hey, like, now my dad became very successful and he made, six figures, working at a grocery store all the way up to being a manager. But I didn't really have, and I'm sure maybe you didn't either. There weren't people saying, hey, like, college is a great opportunity for you, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's always just like, hey, you're going to graduate from high school, you're going to go to college, and then you're going to, just
like, it's
keep
for sure.
going
like,
through the motions, right?
Like, that's how society works.
Was that kind of like your experience?
Yeah, I was never pressured by my parents to do anything, which I love them for that.
Yeah.
I was made my own mistakes, tried my own things. So when I told them, like, school, and they wanted me to go to school. Two of my brothers went to school. They went to Columbia Art School.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think this is working out. So I said, well, how can I get into the fitness industry?
Okay, there's that mindset.
Yeah, so I said, I didn't go to school for kinesiology. I want to be an athletic trainer. So I made like a great relationship with our athletic trainer in high school.
Yeah,
When I was injured during football, I'd like sit there and I'd like, I think I wanted to hang out in there more because we were a really bad team and I just wanted to learn from him.
Yeah,
so maybe I didn't know it at the time, but I was learning because I was asking questions and I'm like, well, look at this. And I'm studying the room and all these things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to become a personal trainer. I said, well, this could be another, gateway to something else. So I did my studies on becoming a personal trainer, and that was after I got fired from the nutrition store. And I got fired because it was 3 no-shows.
Stayed out a little too late, Joey?
Well, no, actually, okay, so funny story real quick. The last
one
was my grandparents' 50th anniversary, and my mom said, you have to go. Like, and I said, okay, well, I'm not going to say no. Like, I have to go. I have to go. So I told them, and I wasn't on the schedule. And then a week in advance, I'm on the schedule. I'm like, yo, guys, I can't. And no one wanted to take it. It was like a night shift on a Saturday. So I said, guys, I'm not. And I let them know in a week. I said, I'm not coming in. I'm sorry. And so like, okay, you're out. And I said, damn. But at the time, I was like, whatever. I'm like 19, 20. And I'm like, whatever. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go into fitness. Or I could finally get into, another industry. So I got a job at a gym at the front desk from a friend of mine, and I said I want to become a personal trainer. I want to get my certificate. So I did that, and I got in the training world, in the corporate training world. Not as much fun as I thought it was going to be. Pay wasn't great, and at that time is when I had to start thinking about money. I was like, okay, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing that great, and also I almost lost my passion for it because it was like the sessions weren't. I always expected. See, we have this mindset like I'm going to be training athletes, like all these people. Say, okay, wait, I'm not. So it took a little while. I was there for a couple. I can't remember how long I was there for. Probably a year until I went on my own to be a freelance trainer. Independent. And so that happened. But in between there, let me start. In between there, I started my own fitness company, or fitness clothing company with my brother and my friend Nick.
Yeah.
My brother Julian, who's the artist.
I've met him.
We started a fitness clothing company, which has now made a huge impact on my life today, which is funny because it's long gone, but the thought of it and the initial idea is what's driving me today. So we started this company. It was called Sacrifice Apparel, and we knew that in fitness, in order to achieve peak fitness, well, you have to sacrifice. And now I realize in anything you want to do, and anything you want to achieve is sacrifice. So we started this company making T-shirts. We just started printing T-shirts, selling them, and we built a brand around it. You know, we had our Instagram going, we had our online, our e-commerce site, and all these things was just awesome.
Yeah.
So in the gym, we were, selling T-shirts, selling clothing to people, and we met a lot of people through it, and it was just a short-lived thing. It was probably a couple of years we did, but and we ended in the black, which was funny.
Yeah.
And we were told, to grow up. It was like, okay, school's here. We got to go back to school, or we have to get a real job because entrepreneurship isn't real. It's like, see, and we listened. We listened to society.
Of course.
So I said, okay, so let me go back to me training. I realized I couldn't make enough money being a personal trainer. It wasn't that I couldn't. I didn't give myself enough time.
Yeah,
and I felt pressure from outside forces. So you're thinking, oh, this person's doing this. This person's, they're at school, they're graduating. Shit, I'm not doing anything. I'm not really getting anywhere. But I am enjoying what I'm doing, but I'm not getting anywhere. I didn't give enough time. That's the problem. So, on the topic of work, is that where we're going with that?
No, that's cool. You just keep chatting.
Okay, so
You're great.
then we got to the point where I was offered a job on movie sets. So I was working in the union, and we were filming TV shows and movies, and the pay was incredible, and you didn't have to worry about food because there's food everywhere. I mean, the set life is just pretty cool, except for the hours. Not fun. I mean, we're talking 12 to 16-hour days, and a lot of labor, and just. But here's the thing: you see money, and that's how it gets you. And if you're not passionate about what you're doing, if you have no desire to be there, you're just there for money.
Absolutely.
And so for 10 years, I was probably there for like 7, and I'm still in the union. I just walked away from work for a while, and for the past 7 years, I was working there. And with the breakup, like we said, I woke up, and I said, I'm done with money. I'm done chasing money. So for 10 years, when I started at nutrition store, it was, okay, I got money. Until then, 10 years of my life was dedicated to working just for money. How long is that going to last, Until you realize you aren't getting anywhere.
Right,
money is one thing, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Like in real life, if you're not using it the right way, money's great if you use it the right way. But
okay, that's where, and we're gonna step into that awakening here in a bit, but let's talk about this relationship, because again, when we talked in the fall, that was a big part of your story. I know it was kind of the impetus and just this catalyst again for you to really step into this personal awakening and where you're at today. So, just talk about this individual. Like, how did you meet her? What did that relationship look like? And just walk us through, because here's the thing, Joey. Like, as we open up as human beings and share our story, as we share the nitty, the gritty, the good, the bad with other people are going to listen to our story and say, hey, you know what? I'm going through that right now. I just came out of that. Or they're going to hear this, and then, in a week or a month or a year, they're going to be going through that, and they're going to be like, hey, like, I remember listening to Joey on the 127 Fit podcast, or like, I'm going through this right now. And our stories, as we share them, that vulnerability, that transparency, our stories can really significantly impact other people, right? Yeah. So 100%. I just want you to kind of unpack this relationship and just, share, as much as you're comfortable sharing with us. Yeah. And because I really want to, pull out of this experience, kind of like where you're at today, because we all go through different things. And again, as you mentioned earlier, if we're open to learning, life is always teaching, right? 100%. So go ahead, talk about how did you meet this individual? What was the relationship like? And then we'll kind of move on from there.
So we met through a mutual friend, but really through my clothing company. She saw, and she's from a different town, but she lived close by because she went to school near where I was living. And we met because of the clothing brand. Like, she knew that name of the company, because like we were making some news in the town, which is pretty cool. I mean, young kids starting a business. And so we started talking because of that and started hanging out. And, then we started dating. And at that point, it was like I was training and then I kind of left training. I don't know how far into our relationship, but I left training to go start the movies because I was like, okay, now I'm in a relationship. And this is my first ever relationship. So now I'm in a relationship, what was I, 21? Maybe 21. And first ever relationship, and I'm like, okay, I need some money because I guess that's what it's like. Well,
For sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So whatever, I'm working and it's great, and our relationship's great. We never fought. Like, it was always like, I always felt good. But and then, I think time happens, but everything, like her family was great, are great, they welcomed me. It was just a great, we were together 5 years.
Wow, yeah.
And it was just a really good experience to kind of learn through someone else's life. Like, we lived totally different lives.
Right.
And the way she was raised, the way I was raised. And so putting two people together that live different lives, really is the test, to see what happens. So it was more along the lines of, through time, I wasn't being fulfilled at work, and at first I was. So like, our relationship was great, we're fine, and then work started taking a toll on me, because as you get older, you're like, you kind of start realizing, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I said, I can't leave work, because who would I be? I'm not a man. I'm not this.
Right.
So a lot of times, and I didn't realize this until later. I don't see this until later. That self-awareness, and you're like, oh, that's why. And I realized is I didn't want to keep living the way I was, because I was worried about what someone would think, or if someone would leave me. And so I never really tried anything new besides real estate, which I got into. We could talk about that, but the relationship was, I don't, from what I've seen, and I'm just basing it off of other people's relationship or whatever, but I enjoyed every second of it. It was just a really good time. And I learned so much, and her dad was a huge impact on my life, and he taught me a lot in business and life, and a lot of things that I use today.
Right.
It's just, I almost say that he was one of my mentors at the time, and it was just great to have that. And we loved each other, her and I, and there came a time where I blame myself. I blame myself for what happened, because it was just, I wasn't being the person I should. I wasn't being me fully, and I didn't know. I was lost.
Right.
Because I was lost because I said, I'm working a dead end job. For me, it was dead end for me, not for everyone. Dead end for me. I have this creative mind that I never got to use or experience. I had a gift that I never got to unwrap, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Besides life is the greatest gift. But I was kind of lost, and I think I resented myself for that. And so my attitude was not always great. It was like, come home from work, be tired, be miserable, whatever, don't do much. And I was slowly growing, but I wasn't at the pace that maybe she wanted.
Right.
And I didn't know. I didn't know any better. I was just doing the best I can.
Yeah.
I was so lost because I just thought, okay, keep working. And this is during the time of our wedding planning. So we are planning our wedding, and our engagement. My engagement was actually out here in Dillon.
Oh, okay.
Which didn't go great. That was just. We were never on the same page with a lot of things. I realized, and I thought I wasn't, but I realized I'm a very simple person. I like simplicity. And we lived a complex lifestyle. And I didn't know, I think I just wanted to live that. I think I was like, oh, I think I need to live up to this. But I never really wanted that. I think I just thought I wanted that.
That's interesting.
So, and so I'm okay with, there's a lot of things I'm okay with. I'll sleep on your ground if I could stay the night, whatever.
Yeah.
But where it comes to we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to, I won't do that. It's like, I'm okay with certain things if it means, if my goal in the end is, something bigger than sacrifice now. So I think I started breaking away with mindset. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I hated work so much. I resented it because I couldn't be me. It was a toxic. I worked in a pretty toxic environment, and I couldn't be myself. So I'd come home, and if I was miserable, but I was living for the weekends. That's what it was. I was living for the weekends, and so I brought that negativity into our relationship. I brought that toxicity, and how long is that going to last until there's a wake up? And I say that the universe wanted me to wake up and to follow something that I love. And it said, they probably have been trying to get to me for a long time, but they said, how are we going to shake him? Well, this is it. So they said, when you get home, this is how it happened, when you get home from your bachelor party, which was just an incredible time, we were in Michigan and New Buffalo, it was so much fun. On this beautiful sunny summer day in Chicago, in summer Chicago, you're going to have your heart broken. And I said, okay. But I didn't know it at the time, you know?
Right.
And so basically what happened was, this is 3 months before the wedding. And I'm waiting, you know, tired, hungover from the weekend. And it was just like, my whole world stopped. Only my world, though. Everything else happened. Everything else, cars were driving, everything else. People were smiling, laughing. My world stopped. I didn't know that. I thought the whole world stops. No, my world stopped. And that's it. And so this happened because, and you know, I have this letter she wrote me, a huge letter. And at the time, I couldn't understand it. And I read back at it. I can't, sometimes I read back. It's like 3 pages, 4 pages.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I honestly couldn't even feel my body at the time. So we broke up, and we're talking 3 months before the wedding. We broke up, and it was just cold turkey. I mean, there was no, hey, how you doing, like this and that. It was just, I mean, a couple days after, and then it was get your stuff. Hey, can you move out? Keys. And I lived with her for 4 years.
Wow.
And it was her place, so I lived with her, and I just like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I honestly was never been I've never felt so alone and so scared in my entire life. And this was my awakening. This was that, hey, Joey, it's time. You know, it's time. And it has been your turn, but now you're going to see it's been your turn, you know. And so that's how it went. I mean, the relationship, it's so funny because it's like, what was wrong in the relationship? It was really, we weren't fulfilled with what we were doing day to day. It was more like the relationship's great, but her job, I don't believe she enjoyed it. She would come home and, you know, complaining is one thing, but like not enjoying, like she was so much more than what she was doing. And I was just there for the money, you know?
Right.
Like after I stopped working with my friends there, because like a lot of my friends worked there.
Yeah.
Sorry. And you realize like, how much longer can this go on? So that's basically what happened. It was like, Joe, you want to leave work? You want to go pursue something bigger than you know? Well, this is how it's going to happen. And we had a lot of, our whole future, so here's the funny thing, is our whole future was lined up. Her family has money, okay, and that was never a factor in a relationship, and people can say what they want, and they, you know, I've heard a lot of things like, you know, living with someone and whatever, and no one knows.
Right.
People think they know. So we had a house, you know, we were going to be gifted a house that was already owned, you know, and all these other things, and money was never a factor in our relationship, which is the funniest thing. Like we were going to be more than fine with everything, but it was more like day-to-day fulfillment. Money meant nothing now. It's like if you can't wake up for a reason to like actually fulfill your day, like if you're just working for money, well, that's not really fulfilling you, you know. So how long were we going to live together without pursuing something that we really enjoy, you know? So I was always afraid, like, if I stopped working, if I stopped doing this, or if I even thought of trying something, she would leave me. And guess what? Communication is the number one thing. And I failed to communicate. We're talking vulnerability, being open, all these things. I didn't know any of this. I've always been like a sensitive person, but I was always hiding inside. I was always holding things in. So not speaking up when I should have, and not speaking my mind, and just really being open. I say that communication in just being open with each other is the most important thing, no matter the outcome. Because look what happened. Didn't matter if I was open or not. Outcome, you know, I'm alone.
Right.
So it's like I failed in a lot of places, but I learned in so much more. I gained so much. And at the time, I didn't hate her for anything. I was just confused. And I said, "What are we going to do about this?" And I said, I took my depression, and I didn't drink. It's funny, I couldn't drink. I felt so sick that I couldn't drink. I couldn't do anything. I didn't leave the house. I didn't eat. I didn't do anything for some odd weeks. I went back to work because I thought, okay, maybe it'll take my mind off this. So I worked another season, and I realized, I was like, okay, and this is like starting late summer of 2018. I said, I'm going to do this whole season. We're going to end in April. 2019.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, we're going to figure something out. And so that was like my coping. I was slowly growing in this process. I started reading more. I started listening to podcasts. I started learning from people instead of just saying, this is what life is and deal with it. It was, no. You can do something about this, but it takes you in action to do it. You know, no one's going to come hold your hand and tell you, hey, everything's going to be okay. Yeah, it'll be okay if you put in the work, though. You know. So I like to say that I got off early because of good behavior. And the good behavior was I didn't like destroy myself by going out and with depression and just being like, I hate life, I hate this. I said, no, let's work on ourselves. Let's try this. So I took a lot of time alone. In 2019, the summer of 2019, I spent the entire, I don't remember seeing friends that much. And I mean, I honed in on learning about myself. I step back and I'm at home with my parents and they don't bother me. I don't bother them. Like I'm like just a roommate, like hiding them like a cat.
Yeah.
And I'm just like studying myself. I'm just like, how can we get better? How can we improve ourselves?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what personal growth was. I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
I said, how can we? So I've never given I give 100% to myself, and I've never seen results about giving 100% because in school I didn't give 100%. But with personal growth, I gave 100%, and I saw the results, and I said, holy crap, what if you give 100% to something you really enjoy? Writing, you know, or something else, or helping others. Holy crap, look what 100% can do.
Right.
And so I hope that covered some. If you have questions, I mean, I've tried to not go too far.
You're doing a great job, man. We're just chatting.
Yeah.
You're sharing. It's beautiful.
So that's kind of like the timeline of, you know, the relationship was great, and then it was like, why did this happen? You know, what was this teaching me? You know, what is this teaching me? And that was where the question came from. Like, why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not perfect, Joey. You're not. As much as people want to say they love you and you're happy and this, that, you're not perfect deep down. And like, you can say you got all this on the outside, but what do you have on the inside? And I said, I want to have everything on the inside and nothing on the outside to see what that feels like. Because you can say you have everything outside, but until you have it all on the inside, that's that inner peace. And I found, and I've studied how to, you know, with myself, I use myself as an experiment, like a guinea pig. I was keep trying these things, see what this does, you know, with myself. And I said, how are you going to keep this inner peace? Oh, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And that's why I wrote the book. You know, that's why I got into writing. I started sharing, you know, that was kind of like my outlet, Instagram. I've always used Instagram, but I never used it in the right way that I wanted to. Well, maybe at the time I did, but it was like sharing like things, like I look what I bought, or look what, you know, I was very materialistic.
Of course,
I didn't grow up that way. I wasn't like taught that, but I watched a lot of TV, a lot of reality TV, and I always wanted. And I said, there's nothing wrong with owning things. Don't let them own you. You know, don't let your possessions possess you. So that was a huge change in my life, money. Because how I looked at money and things, and I said, I don't need anything. I realized when you have everything inside, you don't need a thing outside. Like seriously, I mean, you need water, shelter, food, but you don't need. Holy crap! You can walk around if you can. So this is funny because I said I want to give a speech in sweatpants and a hoodie and say I can speak like this in a suit, or I can speak like this because it's not what's on the outside; it's what's on the inside. You know what I mean? Like yes, obviously it's respectful to wear a suit, but what I mean is like. When you can be confident with your inside, not you're hiding on the outside. When you're confident on the inside, that is the beauty. You know, that is your true self. That is your inner peace. That is where you're growing and you're sharing with the world.
Right.
And man, I just got it's a moment. See, it's just like that good, feels man. Good. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
So writing on Instagram probably started. I used to share like other people's stuff, and then I like early 2019 I started posting some things, but I was never like open on social media, and that was the changing point. And not that everyone needs to be open on social media; they can be, but they should be open with people in their life, people who are close to them.
Right.
I just chose my people close to me, but I also chose everyone else. I said, let's get really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I started writing, and I realized that, holy crap, you enjoy writing. And my dad would always say, oh my God, I love your writing. I was like, really? But I'm like, I'm just speaking from the heart. I'm just letting it flow out. I put words, what I do is I have all these thoughts, and this is why I have to write, because I have all these thoughts in my mind. And I say, holy crap, dude, I gotta take them out, because like they're just clouding my mind. Like, I gotta put them out on paper. I gotta put them somewhere.
Yeah.
So I use Instagram as my practice, you know? So for like, the majority of 2019, before I started writing book form, I was just like posting pictures, but I was writing, and whether people read them or not, I don't know. But it was practice for me. That's all that mattered. You know, I hope people took from it, and I have had people say they take it from it, this is all I can ask for. You know?
Yeah.
So I started writing in August. I wrote a title. So again, Colorado has done a lot for me. I didn't start writing my book until I was in Highlands Ranch, and I was with my family, and I was just typing away. I started writing a little bit, and I said, "This is where it started." You know? And it's the energy in Colorado.
Dude, it's changed my
water.
life. It's changed my life. It's beautiful out here. It's amazing. It's powerful, but yeah.
So then I started writing, and that was it. I like to say that Instagram didn't allow enough characters for me to write and express my, thoughts. So I said, I might as well write a book. Not that it's that easy, but things come to you,
Right.
And I say writing found me at the right time.
Right. Yeah.
I want to run with it because I'm taking that weakness, my biggest weakness, and creating it and making it my biggest strength, that's where I am. And if reading a book a week, I couldn't read. It's incredible what you can do when you give 100%. And when you, but the only way to give 100% is to want it, to really, really want it.
Yeah.
And when there's a quote from Fight Club, and he says, only when you have nothing, you're able to do everything. I don't know if that's exactly it, but you're able to do anything. And I say that, let go of everything so you can free yourself to do everything you want, to do anything you want.
Yeah.
And I think that's very powerful with possessions and materials and, materialistic world we live in. And it's just let go of things so you can run with your ideas, so you can do, we let so much hold us back. And with writing, I said, okay, I didn't have a job for 9 months, or past 9 months, I haven't had a job. I'm lucky, I'm smart, you talk about investing, I'm smart with money, so I know how to save. Yes, I'm frugal, and I've gotten a lot of name calling for it, but that's okay. Hey, look at me now. I'm able to write. I saved. It was all because I wanted to write. So right now, it's I sacrificed making money so I can actually do something that fulfills me. I look at it this way. I use death as a motivator. People think it's a negative thing. I think it's the most positive thing because death teaches us a lot. Whether we see death, we experience death, through someone else, we lose someone. But I think death is huge because I look at it as, if I were to die tomorrow, did I fulfill that day before? Tomorrow's not a fact. It's just a promise, So I say, if I was working and I wasn't doing anything I wanted, I didn't even fulfill my day. Here, let me just explain a day. I get up for work, miserable. You're already starting negative because you don't want to be there. Okay, when am I going home? That's the first thought. You get there, when am I going home? That's sad. Oh, 14 hours later. Oh, okay, that's when. So then you get home and you're tired and you're just tired. And you're just like, I'm going to go to bed or I'm going to watch TV. Well, only thing you really did was just make some money. And there's nothing wrong with that. See, I didn't have anything I didn't have a family to support. So what was I doing wasting? I didn't have a why, right? I didn't have a why. What was I didn't have a mission. It was just in case someone thought of different of me because I'm not working, I'm not making money. So that was mine. I was insecure. So if you have a why, that's understandable. And that's why we do things. That's the why. But I didn't have I just said, okay, because you need a job to live. But I realized money, last time I checked, money doesn't give me oxygen. Money doesn't give me water. All these things, hold on. Money does not keep me alive. I keep me alive, So I where was it?
No, you're good. Let's that's a great place to stop in the sense of, I want to touch on this creative mind. You mentioned this earlier as you were sharing your story. You didn't really realize that you had a creative mind when you were younger. So as you've kind of stepped into this personal awakening, Joey, right? Yes. And you have begun to read, and you've gone all in with that personal growth and studying the inside of you and all those type of things. How have you really come to realize the importance and the power of creativity in your life, and what has that meant to you to really step into your own personal creativity in terms of writing?
I said writing found me, so I didn't know that, and I'm not saying I'm the best writer or anything, or I'm really good. I'm just saying that's what brings me life.
Absolutely.
So creativity to me, I think you have to try different things to see what you like. I like the world of business, but I also like now writing. So I'm like, I try to merge things, and business is so much fun and learning about business. So I think imagination is huge for creativity. And I like to say that we were told as kids to use our imagination. Then we were told when we grow up, well, imagination's for kids, so stop using it. How
Great
the
point.
hell do you think like all these people who have, and Richard Branson is one of my favorite entrepreneurs. I mean, he is. And do you think he let his imagination, because, you know, like, the guy's going to space. I want to be an astronaut. Oh, kid, don't waste your time. Oh, this guy's going to space because he uses his imagination. Then he said, I'm going to work for it. You know, I'm going to put in the work. And I think our imagination is our friend. It's our best friend, no matter your age. That's how we create ideas. That's how we shake the world. I mean, I couldn't imagine not, and that's the reason I'm getting into writing, is because now I wrote a nonfiction. It's a what do you call it?
Kind of memoir.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's my foot in the door of writing, and it was like, hey, I'm introducing myself to the world of writing, to books. You know, this is my story, but now let's see what I can do. So that's why I actually started another book. But it's a fiction. It's a story, but it has a lot of lessons involved with entrepreneurship and leadership. And I said, now I get to use my imagination, really use it. And I said, this is going to be fun. So, and fun is, and I can use Richard Branson again. He says, if it's not fun, it's not worth dying for. You know, and that goes back to death.
Right,
If I die here, let me just say, if I died tomorrow, I would say, okay, I did what I could. You know, I fulfilled my day. This was huge fulfilling. Doing this with you,
absolutely,
huge.
yeah.
So I say, if you can't, don't go to sleep until you've fulfilled your day. And you talk about, you said how you start your day is how you end your day, and that's 100% true. Because if you don't start with fulfilling your day, then you're basically wasting your time. I think you're wasting I think you're wasting your life. So creativity is just, that's why I got involved with my brother with the art. The art community. I didn't know much about it, and like two of my brothers are in, my other brother, you know, he's had his production company, and he's been in film and video and all these things, and they both were really creative minds. And I think we all have a creative mind. I think
sure,
we are
100%.
all artists in a way.
Absolutely.
And we don't have to like go to the factory and not use our brain and just slump all day. No, it's okay to do, as long as you're enjoying what you do every day, it doesn't matter. But don't allow yourself to stop learning. Like, keep using your mind, keep letting it grow, keep that imagination going. So with writing, it's like, I'm learning something new every day. And so my book, I look back and I go, and this is probably a creative thing, like for creators, and like, oh, I want to touch on this, I want to touch. But it's like, I'm learning every day, so I can keep adding every day. Well, I'm never going to publish my book if I keep adding every day, you know? So it's like, just move on into the next project. And I think imagination is just a huge part of that. To say, it's your, that's where your ideas come from, your idea bank. You know, you're like, boom, boom. And when we share ideas with people, like-minded people, that's when they're bouncing back and forth, and they're generating friction, and then they explode to something big. You know, you're gonna have 100 ideas, but one's gonna stick.
Right. So, now, in terms of writing, Joey, you know, because I'm a writer myself, and it's a lot of what you're saying is resonating with me, because writing is such a powerful outlet. You know, at times I just like I feel compelled to write. I have to write just to release things. So when you how does the writing process work for you? Some people, you know, some authors, some writers, they just like pull out a legal pad and they start writing. Some people, you'll hear, they'll go up into a cabin up in in the mountains, and they've got to like block everything and everybody out, and they write. For you, what does that writing process look like?
Well, for this time, since it was my first time, I didn't know what to expect. I don't know. I didn't know anything. I just did. I just felt. I did what felt right. So to start, I didn't know, like, I guess everyone's different. So I was just like, I couldn't like base it off someone else. Like, maybe some ideas, but I had to try some, like secluding myself. Okay, I will start with, if you want to write and you need your thoughts out, you got to be alone. Like, you can't have, unless you have like canceling headphones in your room. But I had to be alone. So this is why I love my parents so much, because they didn't force me to go back to work. I said, I want to write. And I spent, I don't know how many weeks alone, like in a room, flow state. We're talking, no eating, just coffee, but just feeling the most alive you've ever been is just the most incredible. Just typing away, ideas would come. So my ideas come most from when I'm working out. It is so funny. When I'm exercising, I'm on my, like, now I don't bring my phone in, but while I was writing this book, I would do like bullet points. Like an idea would come up and I'm like, I gotta add this. But it's only when my body's under like serious stress, like with physical exercise, that these ideas came out. I don't know what it was. I mean, so many times I would just be sitting there, or I'd be working out, music's on, and if I hear something in a lyric, and I'm listening to depends on who I'm listening to, and I'm like, oh, that really triggered something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I gotta write about this. Or something will trigger, and it's always I'm swimming in a pool. This is funny because I swim twice a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have anything to write down, so I got to keep this thought. I'm like, I need waterproof paper, which they do make.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I need to get something out.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I really made it happen. It's almost like a blur. It's hard to say. It's like a blur, the process of writing. When I completed the book, it was like, oh, you're done. But I don't remember much of it because I was so into it. I was just so there.
Obsessed.
Yeah, really. That's what it was.
So, but kind of overall, or generally speaking, quietness is something that is necessary on some level for you in that writing process, though. Is that fair to say?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, cool.
I think you need that alone. Really, it's that alone time to focus, to get those thoughts out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Something we've already been going for 65 minutes, so
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, we're.
See, it turns out I guess we could do this.
That's perfect, my man. But before we begin to kind of wrap things up, I do want to talk about the pursuit of the uncomfortable. I know that's something that you've written about and put on Instagram. You've that word uncomfortable has come up a few times as you're just unpacking and sharing your story. How important is it, not only for you personally, Joey, but how important is it for us human beings to pursue the uncomfortable in order for us to experience the growth?
Yes. Being uncomfortable is, in my opinion, the only way to grow. Just like physical, like your body's uncomfortable when your muscles are growing.
Yeah.
I think that doing the uncomfortable is where life is. Doing this podcast made me super uncomfortable, and I did it. Now, guess what? I just grew that much more.
Absolutely.
I made a video the other day on Instagram, and I never talk in the camera. And I hate it. I'm scared of it. I shouldn't say I hate it. I'm going to love it soon. I better start loving it.
Yeah.
So it made me super uncomfortable. I said, but I posted it. I had to do it. I had to do it because I knew if I wanted to grow. Now, doing something you're uncomfortable that you don't want to actually do, that's different.
Right.
Like, letting fear stop you, that's where it comes in. That's where you're like, okay, it's uncomfortable, but I'm only uncomfortable because I'm scared to do it because of what people think or whatever, but I really want to do it. Once you break that barrier of I really, really want to do it, and I posted this the other day, I said, where is that line that your body starts doing things when your mind tries to stop you? And I don't know, I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
We tend to do things that are uncomfortable, but our mind's still trying to stop us because it's like trying to, it's trying to protect us because we're scared. But we're not scared of a lion coming at us. It's more just doing something new.
For sure. So the uncomfortable, if we step into the uncomfortable, that produces growth.
Yes.
So for me, I know that when I step into the uncomfortable, whatever that is, when I go against whatever fear, anxiety, what have you in my life, when I go against that, when I lean into it, when I step into it, I know that growth is on the other side and breakthrough happens, right?
Yes.
Once we break through that fear, that anxiety, that depression, whatever is really trying to hold us back, once we step into it, once we lean into it, breakthrough happens, and that's where growth happens, right? Now, for you, I want to continue to expand just a little bit more on the uncomfortable because I'm 100% in agreement with you. As human beings, we cannot reach our greatest, most powerful, fullest potential without the pursuit of the uncomfortable. So how are you trying to take the pursuit of the uncomfortable and use that as a catalyst for you to reach the goals that you have in your life? Like, do you have like a daily practice of like what you're trying to pursue in the sense of the uncomfortable? Is it kind of a moment by moment thing where it's like, hey, this fear pops up and I've just got to go at it? What is that kind of uncomfortable process and the pursuit of it? What does that kind of look like for you, Joey?
Good question. I think like my being uncomfortable was like, let's just say it started with Instagram, like writing things out, like what will people think about my, like what am I writing? Like I'm being very open and vulnerable. I am opening up and I am going to get attacked, you know. But guess what? You just get stronger and stronger every time. So with writing, like that's why I wrote a book. Oh, I'm putting it all out there. The whole world can buy the book. You know, they can experience that and they can read the book. And that's very vulnerable. Putting your work out there, you know, your podcast, putting it out there. When we put anything out there, we put ourselves out there, we are left with no ammo. So I like to say that with the uncomfortable, you just grow and then you become stronger. Like vulnerability is such a big thing. And I say there is no armor and no masks stronger and more protective than vulnerability. Because once you release that vulnerability, you just got that much stronger and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it. So the uncomfortable is what's holding us back, you know, or I should say the comfort of everything. We're okay where we are. That's that maintenance mindset. We're okay. But deep down we want to do something more, but we're afraid to try because we're at a point now when we're kids, we try whatever we want. We go after a child starting to walk. Well, they didn't care what anybody thought. They just started walking. They didn't care how many times they failed. So we let society in, and this is our own fault. This is us. Like we're allowing it. And there's the people who allow it and the people who don't care anymore, and they just go after it. And those are the people who achieve their goals, no matter how big they are. Those are the ones that, and they leave the comfort zone. You know, they leave that. I heard a thing a long time ago, and it said, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And I think that was such a huge thing to hear. Because you get used to being uncomfortable, you know, but it brings life to you. You know, it's like you get this like weird. I get like goosebumps. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, I just grew a little bit. I just became stronger because I did something I really wanted to, but I was scared. I just conquered fear. I walked straight through fear. I said, get out of the way. Oh, you're not going to move? Coming through. You know, I didn't allow that to stop me, and I think it compounds. We do one thing, we'll keep doing it. Now we're just like fear. Let's keep going. We'll always have fears, but we're not allowing them to stop us, and that's a big thing.
What's one of your, right now in this season of life, what's one of your greatest or biggest fears that you are working on breaking through?
Oh man, a friend of mine asked me that the other day. I think it's constantly just like pursuing what I want. You know, what I really want to achieve. And like to say I'm a writer is what scares me. You know, it's like I didn't go to school for writing. I don't know, you know, I didn't study English. So like to say I'm a writer is like, what are people going to think? So I think like there's always that thing, because that's how I lived my life for so long, is what are people going to think? That's the fear. But I have these fears all the time. Self-doubt. Self-doubt is my biggest fear. It's my worst enemy, and it's me. So I think self-doubt, if I just had to sum it up, self-doubt is, you know, because you're afraid to change and you're afraid to grow. You like the comfort. So I think self-doubt is my biggest fear.
Right.
But it's also it's my biggest competitor. You know, I'm going against myself.
Is there a lot of fear from what the world is going to say or think about you when you are pursuing what you want to pursue?
I think so. I mean, as of now, I'm not like some famous person, you know, so it's I don't know what the future holds for me.
Right.
I could say now I've kind of conquered the fear of caring what people think. That's that breakthrough. You know, I had this breakthrough or this. You know, I took down barriers because of that. You know, I busted through the barriers. I said, listen, you are going to get nowhere if you care what people think. And then you're going to realize not a lot of people are even thinking about you because we're all worried about our own stuff.
Absolutely.
So you never know who's really. So at that point, and I realized you do something, you're going to be judged. You don't do something, you're going to be judged. Just do what you love. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
and and I say those who are doing better than you spiritually, mentally, and I'm not saying like financially. I'm saying all the real life stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who are there to support you. They're the ones to pick you up and bring you with because they know what it feels like. Those who are not doing better than you, and I'm talking spirit, inside that inner peace. They're the ones who are going to bash you because they are afraid you're going to run away or you're going to be doing this, and they're just the critics. They see you. And they're not looking at themselves. They see everything you're doing. And they're like, "Why am I not?" Well, you're not working on yourself. You're not doing you.
Yeah. I want to kind of wrapping some things up here. I want to, because this first relationship that you had was such a catalyst in your life for where you're at right now. And I'm assuming that at some point you would love to get into another, long-term relationship and share life with somebody. That's a lot of our goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Have you thought about all the things that you learned walking through your first serious relationship with an individual, romantic relationship, all those things that you've learned, Joey? Have you taken the time to kind of like set some things in place in the sense of like, hey, the next time I get into a serious relationship, I've learned all these things from the first one. This next relationship, here are maybe some boundaries, or here are some things that I really want to look for in regards to that next serious romantic relationship. Have you done some of that work, or have you just been so focused kind of on that going within and the writing that you're just kind of allowing that to happen as it would?
I think I'm afraid of this. You want to talk about a fear? I'm afraid, and not afraid of being alone with someone, because I have this fulfillment of myself.
Of course.
But I believe that what you put out, you get back.
100%.
And, the law of attraction.
Yep.
So if I put out love, the only way to receive love is to give love. That's how it works. Same with money. See, love and money can be the same thing. And I think that the only way to attract the right person is to be the right person first.
Absolutely.
So to be as real and as upfront in the beginning is how you will decide if this person's right for, or if you're right for that person, vice versa. Yeah. So as long as that person's open and real with you from the beginning, then it should and could, it should be okay. You should be good. So I think to attract that right person is just keep doing you, keep being you, but keep putting out that good. Don't try and I'm not gonna say don't. I'm not gonna say anybody. This is my strategy.
Yeah.
I'm just living my life. Whatever comes to me, I will accept. If someone comes to me and says, our energies are connecting. It's like I feel this. I know what it feels like now, and I think with my other relationship is I wasn't my real me, and that's the problem. I attracted the fake me, and I'm not saying that she was. I loved her. She was awesome. We had a great relationship, but I think I had this facade that maybe attracted her. Maybe that's why she liked me. Maybe I don't know. But I can tell you right now, I wasn't deep down, and I didn't know how to be the real me because it was so far down. I didn't know how to be the real me. But I think being the real you brings the right people to you. That's
absolutely.
So no, I have thought about it a lot. Yes, I'm always like, so I say this because I'm like, now who's going to want to date someone who doesn't have a job, who's wanting to be a writer, all these things that are but then I'm like, I really don't care because I love living life. To be honest, I just like being alive. Yeah, and that's about it.
Absolutely, and I can't. You said it perfectly. I 100% believe in the law of attraction. Whatever you're putting out in the world, Joey, that's what you're going to get back. Yeah. And just aggressively pursue who you want to be. Aggressively pursue your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. The vision that's inside of you, and all that other stuff will happen as you aggressively, obsessively pursue you and what's inside of you, right? So now just to kind of wrap things up here, before I ask you the last question, I'd love for you to just talk about the first book that you wrote.
Yes.
If it is available, where can people find it? Just talk a little bit about just what it means to you to have that book out there, to have it completed, to kind of quote unquote have a chapter of your life closed because you completed something that's really awesome in writing a book.
Writing this book has brought a new me. It has brought the feeling of fulfillment, but more of it's something I did that's bigger than me. Why did I write it? Because I want to help people. And I'm not saying everything we have to do, but I do believe we are all here to help people.
Absolutely.
So I wrote this book, and I hope someone takes anything and put it in their own way and take something from it. And it's called Self-Education. And what is this teaching me? A book about life. That's what it is. And I use that what is this teaching me as that's how I live, you know,
Yeah.
everything that's happening. So I start with schooling, and I say we go to school for, you know, however long we go to school for, and then we don't experience life until after school. We don't know what real life is. We just know what school is. And so until life comes and kicks us in the face, or whatever it wants to do, sorry, that's a little aggressive, but whatever it does, bashes us. It bashes us right in the ground, and it's our choice what to do from it. You know, are we going to learn? Because that's the lesson being taught. So every day, anything happens, there's lessons. So I go from schooling to real life. How do you live? And I try to mix in business and personal life, because I believe that you cannot have a shitty job and love your life outside of it. I don't think it works. You don't just leave that person there. If you do, good for you, because I don't know how you do it. But also, you're not being good to those people, so really, what are you producing?
Right.
So I think to mix the two, you know, people say, how do you balance life or work-life balance, whatever. I write about how to basically live fulfilled. How did I get fulfillment in my life? And there's a lot of sacrifices I made, a lot of steps, a lot of practices. I share them all. I share everything I do and my story. Basically, all those people who, it's for anybody who's, you know, had a really traumatic event in their life and they feel lost and learning. Learning, and people who didn't go to school and think that they got to settle for the job they have because they were told they don't have a degree or they don't have this and they didn't. No, self-education is about teaching yourself what, you know, through life. Life is the teacher,
Absolutely.
But we're teaching ourselves through that. So I believe to find what works for you, keep trying. You know, if you don't feel fulfilled, keep going, keep trying. Don't settle for what you're doing. So I say to those who were told by society that they failed because they didn't go to college or graduate, or they're not using their degree or whatever it is, like, keep going. Don't stop because you don't settle for an unfulfilling job or life. I just think that we listen to society too much on that, and it's our own fault. Everything is our fault. We are the one choosing to listen.
Absolutely.
We are the only one that can make us do something. You know, we control us. So the book I basically break down in 3 sections. It's learning, growing, and living. Because I think in order to grow, you got to learn. In order to live, you got to grow. And all 3 connect. And so I'm talking on a lot of topics there. I talk about money, I talk about work, I talk about relationships, then I go into the practices I do, and anywhere from self-awareness to self-love to basically ego, you know, all these things. And then living and travel and basically giving. And giving is such a big part of living. And I think I touch on a lot in the book because really I had so much to put out there that the overall book is about living a fulfilling life, you know, but through self-education, through life teachings, because life is always here teaching. And I'm going to use the example, like I can pull out of here and someone could cut me off and I can choose whether I want to react or respond. Yeah. I can react by flicking them off or beeping the horn, or I could say, okay, it's a test.
Absolutely.
So I talk about tests in the book, because tests are there every day. And I mix schooling and life because I talk about tests and I talk about homework. And the homework is something we do every single day, right? In school we did homework every day. So homework is working on yourself, working on whatever you're trying to do, but practicing. Practice makes progress, right? So we got to keep practicing every single day. That's the homework, you know? You can't just say, oh, I meditated today. I won't meditate for another month. Well, they ain't going to do anything. Practice a little bit every single day, whatever it is, self-awareness, gratitude, love, everything. There's just so much out there. So really it's just, it's a book about life. That's what I called it, a book about life. It's about
I love it.
Just from a guy, from a 28-year-old, 20-something, you know, and living in the suburbs of Chicago, not famous. I don't have anybody writing on the back of my book, you know, that's what it is. So it's available, well, I have it soon, it'll be soon printed, let's see. I'm trying to have it available the end of February.
Okay.
Printed, you know, ready to go. Paperback edition. And you can follow me on Instagram to see it at Joey Iannino. And that's probably where I'll be. That's where I do most of my work right now. So
for any of you listeners, you know, that are listening to this and you would love to check out Joey's book and figure out where it's at. I would just say, you know, again, just like he kind of said, the best way just to reach out to him on Instagram, send him a DM, and then you'll respond and kind of navigate from there. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I just, my brother Julian, he's designing the cover, and we took photos
Cool,
actually while I'm out here. So that's what I got a lot accomplished on there. That's what I
Yeah.
love. And I'm with you. We got the cover ready to go. So I'll be updating everyone through Instagram
Cool.
to let them know when it's available.
Now, for the people that want to find the book, that want to find out more about you, we'll just kind of do that right now before I ask the last question, Joey. Since we're kind of there organically. So your Instagram. Say it one more time, but then please spell it out so that people can write it down as they rewind the podcast.
Yes.
Say, okay, like how do you spell his name?
Okay, at Joey Iannino, JoeyIannino.
Okay, perfect. Now, also, you've mentioned your brother Julian, who I've also met. He's a local artist out here in Denver, doing some just powerful things through his art. If somebody wants some a logo design, T-shirt design, all the art type of things, where can they find out more about that? And what's the name of his brand, his company?
Sure. Completely Bonkers is his company, and his Instagram is Completely Bonkers Crew, and then the website is completelybonkers.com, and you can find all his artwork there and merchandise and anything that's available for purchase, and you can reach out there.
Perfect. And I've seen some of his artwork, and it's some powerful stuff. So anybody that needs any type of art, make sure that you guys you reach out to Joey, reach out to Julian, and they will help you out in that area. So Joey, the last question I have for you is, what sets your soul on fire?
That is such a great question.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sets my soul on fire. Oh man, you know what? It's this, like speaking or just doing passionate things, like that brings life. I think that's where the life comes from doing things that bring more life into us. And to me, whether it's writing or speaking or just having a conversation with someone, I think real connection is where the souls meet. That's where it's at, that connection, and that brings fire. I mean, to me, that makes me want to do more. Do better. So I think writing or connecting with people. I could also say traveling. I mean, that's something too. But that fulfills me. That brings more inspiration. That I think inspiration could be another thing. All these. That's really what sets me on fire. When I can speak about something I'm passionate about, it just comes out. It just feels right, and I think that's the soul on fire.
For sure. And just sitting here in this room with you and spending some time with you in the fall, I echo that, because you do have a gift of a very powerful energy, and as you continue to pursue your passions, your goals, and your dreams, and just no matter what, you're just going for it. Just your energy, that powerful energy that you've been gifted, and as you give that gift to the world, that alone, along with you sharing your story, those are some gifts that you have to really positively impact the world. So don't stop.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I think just to anybody who's not sharing their gift, I mean, you have a gift.
Absolutely.
And whether you discovered it or not, you need to share that with the world, else it is useless. I mean, that is why we're here, and to share and to give is really that's the true meaning of life.
For sure. So, Joey, I just I want to thank you for sharing your story today. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you sharing some of those things that at times, those personal things they can be hard to share, especially when you're sitting on a podcast and that anybody around the world may hear it. That can be a very hard thing for some of us. And I know you mentioned in the beginning you were a little bit nervous before we turned on the mic, but again, you have some gifts, and I appreciate you giving those gifts today. I appreciate you sharing your story, and your time is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, and likewise, and thank you so much for having me. I never thought in a million years would someone want to speak to me or interview me about something, and I realized if I was still living the way I was, well, no one would really. I mean, I don't know if I'd have anything to share. But to bring your best self to the world, that's when people want to see. People want to see that your best self, and everyone has something to share. Everyone has something to teach.
For sure.
And thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Joey. So, 127 Fit podcast listeners, once again, I greatly appreciate you hanging out, listening to the podcast, hanging out with Joey and myself. I am always so grateful and thankful for your listening ears, for your support. If you would like to find out more about myself or the guests that I'm bringing onto the podcast, you can find more of that information on Instagram at 127fit. Facebook is at Quentin Vars. LinkedIn is at Quentin Vars. If you guys would do me a huge favor and please leave a 5-star rating and written review, especially within iTunes, within the Apple Podcast app. Some of you have been listening for quite a while, and I know you haven't left that written review, so please, when you finish listening, go to iTunes, go to your Apple Podcast app, leave that written review. And the reason why that's so important is because the algorithm within iTunes, the algorithm within the Apple Podcast app, and most of the other podcast apps, the more written reviews, the more subscriptions that you have, the more people are going to find your podcast, they're going to listen. And again, the name of the game is we want as many people as possible to be positively impacted through these stories that are being shared on this podcast. So go leave that written review, subscribe. Thank you again for your support. If you think you would be a great guest, or if you have a friend or an acquaintance you think would be a great guest or guest for the 127 Fit podcast, please feel free to send me an email or give this email out. The email is 127fit@gmail.com. And as you guys are finding great value in a specific episode or episodes of the 127 Fit podcast, as I know you are, please take that specific episode or episodes and share it on your Facebook and Instagram stories using the hashtag #BeSomeoneToFollow. And per the usual, I will leave you with Proverbs 24:10, which states, "If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small." This time, until next time, I will catch you guys later.